The giant space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. It was bigger than most moons and home to thousands of different alien species. Today, something was very wrong. The lights in the main meeting hall flashed red, which meant emergency. All the important leaders from across the galaxy were here for one reason. Humans were leaving. Ambassador Hyun-Ki sat alone at the human table. He was the last human representative in the galaxy, and he looked tired. His uniform was neat and clean, but his eyes showed worry. Around him, dozens of alien species talked in angry voices. Some had blue skin, others looked like walking crystals, and some were just floating clouds of gas in metal suits. "This is madness," said Zethmore, the tall blue alien who spoke for the Velkari Empire. His voice was deep and full of anger. "Humans cannot just leave. They have trade deals, they have colonies, they have duties to the galaxy." Crystal, who looked like a walking diamond, made a sound like breaking glass. This meant she was laughing. "Good riddance," she said in her crystal voice. "Humans bring nothing but chaos. My people have suffered enough from their wild ideas and strange ways." Other aliens nodded their heads. The Gorthani delegate, a creature that looked like a giant octopus, waved his tentacles in agreement. "Humans never follow the rules," he said through his translator box. "They make deals and then change them. They promise one thing and do another. The galaxy will be better without them." Hyun-Ki stood up slowly. The talking stopped. Everyone looked at him. He was just one human among hundreds of aliens, but something in his face made them listen. 6 months ago, every human colony got the same message, he said in a calm voice. "Go home, leave everything, come back to Earth now." "Why?" asked Zethmore. "What could make humans abandon everything they built?" Hyun-Ki looked around the room. "I cannot tell you that, but I can tell you this. When humans run from something, you should ask yourself what scared them enough to run." Far away from the big meeting, Captain J-Ho was having his own problems. His ship, the Morning Star, was small compared to the alien warships around it. It was one of the last human ships still in alien space. His job was simple but sad: pick up the last humans who had not made it home yet. The ship's bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. J-Ho looked at his screens and saw that another human research station had just gone dark. They had finished moving everyone to Earth. Soon, his ship would be the only human vessel left in this part of the galaxy. "Captain," said his second, "Officer Lieutenant Hae-Won. We have a message from Earth. It is for you only." J-Ho went to his private room and opened the message. The face of Commander Dalsu appeared on his screen. Dalsu worked for the Terran Defense Corps, the military group that protected Earth. He looked very serious. "J-Ho," Dalsu said, "I know you are wondering why we are doing this, why we are bringing everyone home. I can tell you now because you need to know," the message continued. "Our deep space sensors found something. Something big is coming toward our galaxy. It has already destroyed 3 other galaxies. Every star, every planet, every living thing, all gone. We think it will reach us in about 5 years. J-Ho felt cold. He had known something was wrong, but this was worse than he thought. "We tried to warn the other species," Dalsu continued, "but they think we are lying or crazy. They think humans are just being paranoid again, so we decided to save ourselves. We are bringing everyone home to Earth so we can prepare for what is coming." The message ended with new orders. J-Ho was to collect the last human scientists from a research station near Velkari space, then return to Earth immediately. No delays, no stops, no helping anyone else. Back at Nexus Prime, the meeting was getting louder. Alien leaders were making plans for what to do with all the human colonies and stations that were now empty. The Velkari Empire claims the 3 systems closest to our border, Zethmore announced. "Our fleets are already moving to secure them." "Wait," said Crystal. "The Ashanti Collective has equal claim to those systems. We need the rare crystals found there." Soon, every alien species was arguing about who got what piece of human space. They talked about human technology like it was treasure to be divided. Up. They made plans for new trade routes through human territory. Some even talked about turning human cities into museums. Hyun-ki watched all this with sad eyes. These aliens thought they were smart. They thought humans were just scared animals running home. They did not understand that humans had seen something that made them willing to give up everything they had built in space. "You make a mistake," Hyun-ki said finally. The room got quiet again. "You think humans are cowards. You think we run because we are weak. Are you not?" asked Zethmore. "You leave behind colonies worth billions of credits. You abandon technologies that took centuries to develop. If this is not cowardice, what is it?" Hyun-ki smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "It is preparation," he said. "Humans have a saying. When you see a smart person running, you should follow them. You do not stop to ask why." He picked up his bag and walked toward the door. "I am the last human you will see for a very long time," he said. "I hope when we meet again, you will still be alive to apologize." The aliens laughed as he left. They thought his words were just human drama. They went back to arguing about how to divide up human space. Captain Jae-ho finished loading the last group of human scientists onto his ship. Dr. So-young was the last to come aboard. She had been studying strange energy readings from the edge of the galaxy. "Captain," she said as they walked to the bridge, "I need to show you something. These readings I have been tracking, they are getting stronger, and they are moving toward us." Jae-ho looked at her data. The numbers made no sense. Energy levels that should be impossible. Signatures that looked like they came from technology no one in the galaxy could build. "How long until it gets here?" he asked. "If it keeps moving at the same speed," Dr. So-young said, "maybe 5 years, maybe less." Jae-ho started his ship's engines. Earth was calling all humans home, and now he understood why. Something terrible was coming, and humanity was the only species smart enough to see it. As the morning star jumped into hyperspace, heading for Earth, Jae-ho sent one last message to the galaxy. It came from Admiral Woo-bin himself, speaking for all of humanity. "To all species of the Galactic Council," the message said, "we leave you now to face what comes next alone as you seem to prefer. We hope you prove us wrong about what we have seen. But if we are right, you will know where to find us. Earth will be waiting." The message ended, and human space fell silent. For the first time in 300 years, no human voices spoke in the galaxy. The aliens celebrated their victory over chaos. They did not know that chaos might be exactly what they would need to survive what was coming. 3 years had passed since the last human ship left alien space. The galaxy was different now. Trade moved smoothly along planned routes. Diplomatic meetings followed proper rules. Wars were fought with honor and careful planning. Everything was organized and peaceful. The aliens had been right. Life was better without humans. Dr. Haewon did not agree. She sat alone in a small observation post on the very edge of the galaxy. This place was so far from everything that most people forgot it existed. The post was built into an asteroid that drifted between 2 dying stars. It was cold, dark, and lonely. But it was the perfect place to watch what was happening in the empty space beyond their galaxy. Haewon stared at her screens and felt afraid. For the past 6 months, she had been tracking something impossible. Star systems on the edge of the galaxy were going dark, not exploding, not dying in war, just stopping. First, the radio signals would fade away. Then the light from the stars would flicker and change color. Finally, everything would go black. It was happening to one system after another, moving in a straight line toward the center of the galaxy. She had sent reports to both Earth and the Galactic Council. Earth never answered. They had gone completely silent 3 years ago and stayed that way. The council sent back a form letter saying her data was inconclusive and probably caused by equipment failure. Nobody believed her. Nobody cared. HFY checked her instruments again. Another system had gone dark last night. The Kepler system, with its beautiful blue star and 5 inhabited planets. Yesterday, it was home to millions of Zentari people. Today, her sensors showed nothing. No ships, no radio signals, no light, just empty space where a star used to be. She tried calling the council again. This is Research Station 7 calling. Nexus Prime. I need to speak with someone about the situation on the Galactic Rim. Please respond. The answer came 12 hours later. It was a recorded message from some low-level assistant. Research Station 7, your previous reports have been reviewed and found to be without merit. Please focus on your assigned duties and stop sending false alarm reports. The Council has more important matters to address. HFY wanted to scream. More important than entire star systems disappearing? What could be more important than that? Meanwhile, near the center of the galaxy, things were going very well for everyone else. The Velkari Empire had taken over 12 former human colonies. Their blue-skinned soldiers now patrolled mining stations that had once belonged to humans. The rare metals from these places made the Velkari very rich. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. He was proud of how quickly his people had claimed human territory. The humans had built good things, but they had built them wrong. Everything was mixed up and chaotic. The Velkari were fixing that. Report, he ordered his second officer. All human systems are now under our control, sir. We have removed their random defensive patterns and replaced them with proper Velkari security grids. Production is up 30% since we took control. Timon nodded. This was how things should be. Organized, efficient, logical. Humans had always done things the hard way, building different types of defenses around each planet. Some systems had big guns, others had fighter squadrons, and some had strange weapons that made no sense. It was chaos. The Velkari way was better. Every system now had exactly the same defenses, same weapons, same ships, same battle plans. If one system was attacked, they knew exactly how to help because every system was identical. What about the other species? Taemin asked. The Ashanti have claimed the former human crystal mining worlds. The Gorthani took the water worlds. Everyone is happy with the division of human space. Far away on the other side of the galaxy, the Ashanti were also celebrating. Their crystal cities grew taller and more beautiful every day. They had always been the most logical species in the galaxy, and now they could prove it. Chrysatal walked through the central chamber of their greatest city. The walls were made of living crystal that grew according to perfect mathematical formulas. Every angle was calculated. Every surface reflected light in exactly the right way. It was beautiful and perfect. The human contamination has been removed, reported her assistant, a smaller crystal being named Zenthal. All their chaotic technologies have been replaced with proper Ashanti crystal tech. Chrysatal was pleased. Humans had always disturbed her people. They built things without planning. They made decisions based on feelings instead of logic. They changed their minds for no good reason. It was like watching someone paint a masterpiece with mud. Now the crystal worlds worked properly. Every machine was grown from crystal according to ancient mathematical laws. Every process followed logical steps. Production was efficient, and waste was eliminated. What about their research? Chrysatal asked. We have reviewed all human scientific data from the crystal worlds. Most of it was worthless. They were trying to grow crystals in impossible ways, mixing different types together randomly. We have deleted these files and started over with proper methods. Back on the Galactic Rim, Dr. HFY watched another star system die. This time it was closer to the main trade routes. Surely someone would notice now. She was wrong. The system was called Outermark, and it was home to a small trading post. When the post stopped answering radio calls, The council sent an investigation ship. The ship arrived to find empty space where the system used to be. No debris, no radiation. Just nothing. The official report said the star had suffered unexpected gravitational collapse, and the system had been completely destroyed. Case closed. File it away. Move on to more important things. HFY read the report and felt sick. She knew what she had seen. Stars did not just collapse and take everything with them, leaving no trace behind. Something was eating these systems. Something was moving through space, consuming everything in its path. She tried one more time to contact Earth. Human deep space sensors were the best in the galaxy. If anyone could detect what was happening, it would be them. Earth, this is Dr. HFY at Research Station 7. I know you have gone silent, but please listen. Something is destroying star systems on the galactic rim. It is moving toward the center. You need to warn everyone. Please respond. Silence. But far away on Earth, someone was listening. Engineer Young-ho worked in a massive orbital shipyard above his home planet. The shipyard was bigger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships were being built at the same time, but these were not normal ships. Young-ho looked at the blueprint on his screen and shook his head. The design made no sense. According to normal shipbuilding rules, the hull changed shape. The weapons were mounted randomly. The engines could be moved to different positions during flight. This will never work, said his assistant, Jun-ho. Ships need to have fixed designs. How can we build something that changes while we are building it? Young-ho smiled. That is exactly the point. We are not building ships to fight normal enemies. We are building ships to fight something that learns from every battle. So we have to build ships that can become something new in every fight. Earth was preparing for war, but it was not the kind of war that anyone in the galaxy understood. The orbital shipyards worked day and night, building weapons that broke every rule of logical design. Scientists created new technologies that seemed to work by accident rather than planning. Dr. So-young, the same scientist who had been on the last human ship to leave alien space, now worked in a laboratory deep underground. She was developing something she called chaos theory weapons. The idea was simple: build weapons that even humans did not fully understand. If we do not know exactly how our own weapons work, she explained to her team, then the enemy cannot figure them out either. On the surface, General Mi-young read reports from the automated spy drones that humans had left throughout the galaxy. She knew about the star systems going dark. She knew the aliens were not taking it seriously. She also knew that humanity had maybe 2 years to prepare before the threat reached the main part of the galaxy. How many ships will we have ready? She asked Young-ho during their weekly meeting. If we work without stopping, maybe 3,000 ships by the time we need them. But, sir, I have to ask, will 3,000 ships be enough? Mi-young looked out the window at the orbital shipyards. Bright lights flashed as welding beams built hull after hull. I do not know if 3,000 ships will be enough, but I know that 3,000 human ships will fight differently than any fleet the galaxy has ever seen. Back at her lonely outpost, Dr. HFY watched the darkness spread. 3 more systems had gone silent this week. The wave of destruction was picking up speed. She estimated it would reach the first major alien colonies in about 18 months. She made one final transmission, broadcasting on all frequencies to anyone who would listen. This is Research Station 7 with an emergency warning. An unknown force is systematically destroying star systems on the galactic rim. It has consumed at least 40 systems and is moving toward populated space. Estimated time until it reaches major colonies is 18 months. Please prepare defenses. Please take this seriously. The response came from Nexus Prime within hours. It was an official order to shut down her station for spreading panic with unsubstantiated claims. The first real attack came on a Tuesday. The Horizon system was a small place with only 1 inhabited planet. It was home to about 2 million Zentari people who lived quiet lives, farming crystal fruits and mining rare metals. The system had good defenses, a small fleet of patrol ships and some orbital weapons platforms. Nothing fancy, but enough to handle pirates or raiders. When the Zentari Defense Command lost contact with their outer patrol ships, they thought it was just a communication problem. These things happen sometimes. Space was big, and equipment failed. Then the darkness came. Admiral Taemin received the emergency transmission while he was having dinner on his flagship. The message was confused and full of static, but he could understand enough to know something was very wrong. This is Horizon Defense Command to any ship in the area. We are under attack by unknown forces. Our entire outer fleet is gone. They just disappeared. Something is coming toward the planet. We cannot see what it is, but our sensors are going crazy. Please send help immediately. The transmission cut off. Taemin ordered his fleet to the Horizon system at maximum speed. His ships were fast and well armed. The Eternal Glory alone had enough firepower to destroy a small moon. He brought 5 other warships with him, each one equipped with the latest Velkari military technology. It took them 3 days to reach Horizon. What they found there changed everything. The system was not empty. It was worse than empty. Where? The planet should have been. There was something else. Something that hurt to look at. Report, Taemin ordered, but his voice was shaky. Sir, said his sensor officer, I am reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. There are things where the planet used to be. They appear to be ships, but they are like nothing in our databases. On the main screen, Taemin saw shapes that made no sense. They looked like ships, but they were wrong. Some parts looked like Zentari technology, but twisted and changed. Other parts looked organic, like they were alive. The worst part was that the shapes kept changing, growing new pieces and dropping old ones. Sir, said another officer, we are receiving a transmission, but it is not coming from any single source. It is coming from all of them at once. Put it through. The voice that came from the speakers was horrible. It sounded like 1,000 different voices speaking at the same time. Some parts sounded like Zentari voices. Others were completely alien. We are the devourers. We consume. We improve. We become more. This system has been processed. Its knowledge is now part of us. Its technology serves us. Its people feed us. Taemin felt cold. What happened to the inhabitants of this system? They are us now. Their memories are our memories. Their skills are our skills. Their ships are our ships. We thank you for bringing more ships to process. The things in space began moving toward the Velkari fleet. As they got closer, Taemin could see details that made him sick. The enemy ships had pieces of Zentari vessels built into their hulls, but they also had other parts. Organic-looking weapons that pulsed like hearts, and metal structures that seemed to grow and change as he watched. All ships, open fire, Taemin ordered. The Velkari fleet unleashed everything they had. Energy, beams, missile volleys, and plasma cannons lit up space. Their weapons were powerful and precise. The enemy ships should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The enemy ships absorbed the weapon fire. Their hulls rippled and changed, growing new armor where the beams hit them. Within minutes, they had adapted to become completely immune to Velkari weapons. Sir, our weapons are having no effect. They appear to be learning from each hit. But the enemy was not just learning. They were fighting back. Their weapons were a mix of technologies from dozens of different species. Some fired energy beams like Zentari guns. Others launched organic projectiles that moved like living creatures. A few used weapons that Taemin had never seen before. The battle lasted 6 hours. One by one, the Velkari ships were overwhelmed. Their standardized defenses and identical battle tactics meant that once the enemy learned to beat one ship, they could beat them all. Taemin watched in horror as his ships were not destroyed but changed. The enemy used some kind of technology to break down the Velkari vessels and rebuild them as part of their own fleet. Worse, they seemed to be doing the same thing to his crews. Sir, We are detecting Velkari life signs aboard the enemy vessels, but they are different, changed. The Eternal Glory was the last ship left. Tai Min made a desperate decision. Instead of trying to fight, he ordered his ship to run. They jumped into hyperspace and fled toward Velkari territory. Behind them, the enemy continued their work. The Horizon system was now completely under their control, but they were not staying there. The swarm of ships began moving deeper into the galaxy toward more populated systems. On Earth, Captain Sung Ho watched the battle through a cloaked observation drone that had been hidden near the Horizon system. He was one of many human observers scattered throughout the galaxy, recording everything that happened. "Did you get all of that?" he asked his communications officer. "Yes, sir. Full tactical. Data on enemy capabilities. Transmitting to Earth Command now." The data from the battle traveled through secret human communication networks back to Earth. Within hours, every human military leader was studying the recordings. General Mi Young watched the battle footage for the third time. Each viewing made her more worried and more determined. "Analysis," she said to her staff. Dr. So Young spoke first. "The enemy adapts to any consistent attack pattern. The Velkari used standard military tactics, coordinated fire, identical ship designs, predictable maneuvers. Within minutes, the enemy had learned to counter everything they did." "What about their technology absorption?" asked General Mi Young. "They appear to consume both organic and mechanical materials, then rebuild them according to their own design. But, sir, the rebuilt technology keeps some properties of the original. They are not just copying. They are improving." Engineer Young Ho raised his hand. "General, if they can adapt this quickly to logical military tactics, how do we fight them?" Mi Young smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We do not fight them logically. We fight them like humans." Meanwhile, the news of the Horizon disaster reached the Galactic Council 3 days later. The meeting hall on Nexus Prime was full of angry and scared voices. Every species was demanding to know what had happened and what the Council planned to do about it. Zethmore stood at the center of the room. His blue skin was pale with shock. "The entire Horizon system is gone. Admiral Taemin's fleet was destroyed. We are facing an enemy unlike anything in our military databases." Chrysatal's crystal voice rang out. "This must be what the humans were talking about. They knew this was coming." "Impossible," said the Gorthani delegate. "Humans are not prophets. They cannot see the future." "But they can see patterns," said a small voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to look. It was Dr. Heywan. She had abandoned her research station and traveled to Nexus Prime to deliver her report in person. "I have been tracking this enemy for over a year," she said. "They have consumed 43 star systems that we know about. They move in a straight line, taking everything and leaving nothing behind. The humans detected them 3 years ago, with their deep space sensors." "Why did the humans not warn us?" demanded Zethmore. Heywan looked around the room. "They did warn you. You called them cowards and paranoid. You celebrated when they left." The room fell silent. Everyone remembered the last meeting with Ambassador Hyun Ki. His final words suddenly seemed much more important. "What do we do now?" asked Krystal. "We fight," said Zethmore. "We combine our fleets. We use our best technologies. We make a stand." Dr. Heywan shook her head. "You still do not understand. This enemy learns from every battle. They adapt to every weapon. They turn our own technology against us. Fighting them with traditional methods will only make them stronger." "Then what do you suggest?" asked the Gorthani delegate. Heywan was quiet for a moment. Then she said the words that no one wanted to hear. "We ask the humans for help." The room exploded in angry voices. Pride was more important than survival, it seemed. The alien species had spent 3 years proving they were better off without humans. Now they were supposed to admit they were wrong, but as more reports came in from the frontier systems, the arguments got quieter. The enemy was not slowing down. They were getting faster, stronger, and more dangerous with every system they consumed. The Ashanti homeworld had detected strange energy signatures moving in their direction. The Gorthani outer colonies had gone silent. Even the mighty Velkari Empire was pulling its fleets back toward their core systems. Finally, Zethmore spoke the words that everyone was thinking, but no one wanted to say. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them. Tell them we need to talk." The message was sent, but no answer came. Earth remained silent, hidden behind a wall of communication blackouts and defensive systems. The humans were still preparing for something. The question was, would they be ready in time? And more importantly, would they help the galaxy that had rejected them? Deep in space, the Devourer swarm continued its advance. Each consumed system made them stronger. Each new technology made them more adaptable. The Ashanti homeworld died on a Wednesday. Admiral Jihoon watched it happen from his cloaked observation ship, hidden in the shadow of the system's outer moon. He had been ordered to observe and record, not to help. The order came from Earth, command, and it was absolute. No matter what happened, he was not to reveal his presence. The Ashanti had prepared for 3 months after receiving word about the Horizon disaster. Their crystal cities were protected by perfect mathematical defense. Grids. Every weapon was positioned according to ancient geometric formulas. Every ship followed logical battle patterns that had been tested for centuries. It was the most beautiful defense in galactic history. It was also completely useless. The Devourers arrived at exactly 0800 system time. Their ships looked different, now. Jihoon could see pieces of Velkari technology mixed with Zentari designs and dozens of other species he did not recognize. The enemy fleet had grown from a few hundred ships to several thousand. But the worst change was not in their ships. It was in their tactics. The Devourers no longer attacked in random patterns. They moved with the precision of the Velkari combined with the crystal logic of the Ashanti. They had learned from every battle, absorbed every strategy, and become something more dangerous than any single species. The battle began with the Ashanti firing their crystal beam weapons in perfect synchronized patterns. The beams created geometric shapes in space, triangles, hexagons, and complex mathematical figures that should have trapped and destroyed any enemy fleet. For exactly 17 minutes, it worked. The Devourer ships were caught in the crystal, light patterns, and began taking damage. Their hulls cracked and several ships were destroyed. Then they adapted. The enemy ships began to change their hull composition in real time. Their surfaces became reflective, bouncing the crystal beams away. Some ships grew new crystal formations on their hulls that actually absorbed the Ashanti weapons and made them stronger. Worse, the Devourers started copying the Ashanti battle patterns. Within an hour, enemy ships were firing their own crystal, beams in perfect geometric formations. But their patterns were not copies. They were improvements. They took the mathematical perfection of Ashanti tactics and made them more efficient, more deadly. "Sir," said Jihoon's sensor officer, "the enemy has not just copied Ashanti technology. They have perfected it." Jihoon watched as the crystal, cities on the planet's surface began to crack and fall. The Ashanti had built their entire civilization according to mathematical laws. Every building, every street, every crystal formation followed perfect geometric rules. The Devourers turned that perfection against them. They used resonance weapons that vibrated at exactly the right frequency to shatter crystal structures. They had learned the mathematical principles that governed Ashanti architecture and found the precise frequencies that would destroy it. The planet's surface sparkled like a broken mirror as an entire civilization fell apart in hours. "Recording complete," reported the communications officer. "Transmitting to Earth Command." "Any survivors?" asked Jihoon. "Negative, sir. The enemy is processing any life forms they capture, converting them into part of their collective." Jihoon felt sick. This was the 4th major system he had watched die. Each time the Devourers became stronger and smarter. Each time they learned new ways to kill. "Take us out of here," he ordered. "Next observation point is the Gorthani homeworld." But the Gorthani homeworld never got a chance to fight. When the Devourers arrived there 2 weeks later, they found the planet already abandoned. The octopus-like Gorthani had seen what happened to the Ashanti and decided not to make a stand. Their entire species had fled deeper into the galaxy. The Devourers consumed the empty planet anyway. They had learned that even abandoned worlds contained useful materials and technology. On Nexus Prime, panic was setting in. The Great Meeting Hall had become a refugee camp as species after species fled their homeworlds. The careful order of galactic civilization was falling apart. Zethmore stood before what remained of the Galactic Council. His blue skin was darker, now almost purple with stress. "We need to make a final stand," he said. "All species, all fleets, fighting together at a single defensive point." "Where?" asked Crystal. She was one of the few Ashanti survivors having been off-world when her homeworld died. "Every defensive position we choose, they learn to defeat. Then we choose a position they cannot learn from," said a new voice. Everyone turned to look. A woman in a simple gray uniform had entered the chamber. She was human. "I am Captain Na Young of the Terran Defense Corps," she said. "I bring a message from Earth." The chamber exploded in angry voices. Some aliens demanded to know how she had gotten past security. Others wanted to arrest her as a spy. A few begged her to ask Earth for help. Na Young waited for the noise to die down. "Earth has been watching your war," she said calmly. "We have seen every battle. We have studied your enemy. We know why you are losing." "Tell us," said Zethmore. "You fight like you are supposed to fight. You use logical tactics, efficient strategies, and predictable patterns. The Devourers love enemies like that. Every logical move you make teaches them something new." "What choice do we have?" asked Crystal. "Military science exists for a reason. There are right ways and wrong ways to fight wars." Na Young smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "There are human ways to fight wars. We do not follow military science. We follow military chaos." She activated a holographic projector. Images filled the air above the council chamber. Images of human ships, unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. The ships looked wrong. They had weapons mounted in impossible places. Their hulls changed shape during flight. Some ships seemed to be built from pieces of other ships, welded together in ways that should not work. "These are our chaos fighters," Na Young explained. "No two are exactly alike. They carry different weapons, use different tactics, and change their configuration randomly during battle. Even we do not know exactly what they will do in any given fight." "That sounds inefficient," said the Gorthani delegate. "Inefficient, yes. Unpredictable, absolutely. And unpredictability is the one thing the Devourers cannot adapt to." Zethmore leaned forward. "What are you proposing?" "Earth offers an alliance," Na Young said. "We will teach your surviving fleets to fight like humans. Chaotic, random, and completely insane by any logical standard. In return, you provide us with ships and crews to train." "And if we refuse?" asked Crystal. Na Young's expression became serious. "Then you die. The Devourers will reach the Galactic Core in approximately 6 months. When they do, they will have absorbed the technology and knowledge of every species in their path. They will be unstoppable." The council chamber fell, silent. Outside the station, refugee ships continued to arrive carrying survivors from the outer systems. Everyone had heard the stories. Entire worlds consumed in hours. Fleets destroyed and rebuilt as enemy weapons. Species that had existed for millions of years wiped out in a single day. "What guarantees do we have?" asked Zethmore. "How do we know Earth will not abandon us again?" Na Young looked around the room. "You do not. 3 years ago, you celebrated when humans left. You divided up our territory and erased our influence from the galaxy. Now you ask us to risk human lives to save yours." Then why help us at all? Asked Chrysotol. Because that is what humans do, Na-Young said simply. We help, even when it is stupid, even when people do not deserve it, even when we get nothing in return. She paused and her voice became softer. And because the galaxy is our home too, humanity may have left, but we never stopped caring about the place where we grew up. The vote was unanimous. Every surviving species agreed to the alliance. They had no choice. Within days, human ships began appearing throughout the galaxy. Not the organized fleets that aliens expected, but small groups of bizarre vessels that seemed to operate independently. Each ship was different. Each crew had different orders. Some were told to defend specific worlds. Others were ordered to attack devourer forces. A few were given instructions that made no sense to anyone, including the humans carrying them out. Captain Minho commanded one of these chaos ships, a vessel called the Dancing Bear that looked like it had been built by someone who had never seen a spaceship before. Its weapons were mounted upside down. Its engines could be moved to different positions during flight. Its bridge was located in what should have been the cargo bay. "This is the worst ship design I have ever seen," said his Velkari second officer, Lieutenant Tae Young, who had volunteered to learn human tactics. "That is exactly the point," Minho replied. "If we think it is a terrible design, imagine what the devourers will think when they try to figure out how to fight it." The first test came at the Outer Rim defense line. A combined human-alien fleet waited for the devourers at a strategic choke point between two star systems. The alien ships were arranged in careful defensive formations. The human ships were scattered randomly throughout the area with no apparent plan. When the devourers arrived, they did what they always did. They studied the defensive positions, identified the logical weak points, and attacked with precision. The alien ships fought bravely but predictably. One by one, they were overwhelmed as the devourers adapted to their tactics. Then the human ships joined the battle, and everything changed. The final battle began with the worst plan in military history. General Hyun-soo stood in the command center of the human flagship Impossible Dream and looked at the tactical display. Around him, officers from a dozen different species worked together to coordinate the galaxy's last hope. The plan they were about to execute violated every rule of warfare ever written. "All ships, this is General Hyun-soo," he broadcast to the combined fleet. "Today we are going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to fight a war by not fighting a war." In the fleet, thousands of captains from different species looked at each other in confusion. The human plan made no sense. They were going to split their forces, attack random targets, and retreat whenever they started winning. Captain Jun-ho, flying his ship Chaos Engine, laughed when he heard the orders. His vessel was typical of human chaos fighters, built from parts of 6 different ships, painted in colors that hurt to look at, and equipped with weapons that seemed to have been installed by someone who was drunk. "You heard the general," he told his mixed crew of humans and aliens. "Time to lose a war to win a war." The Devourer fleet was massive now. 6 months of consuming alien worlds had made them stronger than any force in galactic history. Their ships numbered in the tens of thousands, each one perfectly adapted for maximum efficiency. They moved in perfect formations toward the galactic core, ready to consume the remaining civilizations. They expected the final battle to be like all the others. The defenders would use logical tactics, fight bravely, and eventually be overwhelmed. The Devourers would adapt to their strategies, absorb their technology, and add their knowledge to the collective. Instead, they found chaos. The human-alien fleet did not attack in formation. Ships scattered in all directions, fighting individual battles across multiple star systems simultaneously. Some ships attacked Devourer supply lines, others defended empty space. A few seemed to be fighting battles that had nothing to do with the main war. Engineer Bo Young, working on the technical support ship Random Generator, activated her latest creation. It was a weapon that literally did not know what it was going to do when fired. Sometimes it shot energy beams. Sometimes it launched missiles. Once, it had created a small black hole by accident. "Firing confusion beam at enemy target," she reported. The weapon hit a devourer ship and turned it bright pink. The ship was not damaged, but its crew spent the next hour trying to figure out why their hull had changed color and what tactical advantage pink might provide. Captain Tae-young, the former Velkari officer who had learned to fight like a human, commanded a ship made entirely from spare parts. His orders were to go find something important and break it, but do it wrong. He found a devourer command ship and attacked it with mining lasers instead of weapons. The mining beam slowly carved a smiley face into the enemy hull. It took 3 hours and accomplished nothing tactical, but it confused the devourers so much that they pulled an entire fleet back to protect their command ships from facial attack patterns. Dr. Eun-ji had spent months developing the ultimate chaos weapon, ships that could change their own programming during battle. Her vessels literally became different ships every few minutes, with new weapons, new engines, and new purposes. "Target locked," reported one of her captains. "Wait, never mind. My ship just decided it wants to be a hospital ship instead of a fighter." "Excellent," Yoonji replied. "Ram the enemy with medical supplies." The battle raged across dozens of star systems for weeks. The devourers tried to adapt, but there was nothing consistent to adapt to. Every time they learned to counter one human tactic, the humans abandoned that tactic and tried something completely different. Some human ships fought by running away while shooting backwards. Others attacked by pretending to surrender, then exploding. A few captains broadcast cooking recipes during battle, claiming it was psychological warfare. Captain Junho's favorite strategy was to fly directly at enemy ships while playing classical music at maximum volume. When the enemy tried to target him, he would suddenly stop, reverse direction, and apologize politely before resuming his attack. The devourers began to malfunction. Their collective intelligence, designed to process and adapt to logical patterns, could not handle pure randomness. They started making mistakes. Some ships attacked their own allies. Others became stuck in adaptation loops, constantly changing their configuration without ever settling on an effective design. But the real genius of the human plan was not the chaos. It was what the chaos was hiding. While the obvious battles raged in space, small teams of human specialists were infiltrating devourer-controlled systems. Led by Dr. Su-min, these teams had a specific mission: plant chaos viruses in the Devourer Collective Intelligence Network. Remember, Su-min told her team as they prepared to infiltrate a Devourer command node, "We are not trying to destroy their network. We are trying to teach it to be human." The chaos viruses were Dr. So-young's masterpiece. They were programs designed to introduce random elements into the Devourer collective mind. Once infected, the Devourers would start making decisions based on emotions instead of logic. They would develop individual personalities. They would begin to disagree with each other. In short, they would become chaotic, like humans. The virus worked better than anyone had hoped. Within days of the first infection, Devourer ships began acting independently. Some decided they no longer wanted to fight. Others became obsessed with collecting shiny objects instead of consuming planets. A few started writing poetry. The Devourer collective began to fracture. Different groups developed different priorities. Some wanted to continue the invasion, others wanted to explore art and music. A small group became pacifists and tried to negotiate peace with everyone. Captain Minho watched as a Devourer ship that had been trying to kill him suddenly stopped shooting and sent him a message. "Have you ever noticed how beautiful stars are when they twinkle?" Yes," Minho replied, not sure how to respond to philosophical enemy ships. "We have been destroying beautiful things without appreciating them first. This seems inefficient. Would you like to form an alliance to protect Star Beauty?" The Great Devourer invasion collapsed not through military defeat, but through an outbreak of individuality. The collective that had consumed 3 galaxies fell, apart because its members discovered they had different opinions about what they wanted to do with their existence. Some Devourer ships returned to the empty space between galaxies. Others asked to join the galactic civilization they had tried to destroy. A few decided to become farmers and started growing space vegetables on abandoned planets. The largest group simply stopped moving and spent their time thinking about the meaning of existence. They had been a force of pure consumption, but chaos had taught them to question whether consumption was really what they wanted. In the aftermath, as the galaxy began to rebuild, representatives from all species gathered, once again on Nexus Prime, but this time the human delegation sat at the head of the council table. "We owe you more than we can ever repay," said Zethmore. "Without human chaos, the galaxy would have been consumed." President Ji-Yon smiled. "We told you 3 years ago that you would know where to find us if you needed help. We are just glad we could keep our promise. The Council offers humanity leadership of the new galactic government," said Chrysotol. "Your chaos has proven more valuable than our order." Ji-Yon shook her head. "We do not want to rule the galaxy. That would make it too organized. We prefer to be the ones who make sure things stay interesting. Instead of taking control, humanity established something new, the Academy of Necessary Chaos. Located on Earth's moon, it became a place where beings from across the galaxy could come to learn the most important lesson humans had to teach. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to stop trying to solve it logically. Dr. Sumin became the Academy's first director. Her job was to teach alien species how to embrace uncertainty, accept randomness, and find creative solutions to impossible problems. "The universe is not a logical place," she told her first class of alien students. "If you try to fight it with pure logic, you will lose. But if you learn to be as chaotic and unpredictable as the universe itself, you might just survive." Satiri. Students included former Devourer units who had decided they wanted to learn how to be individuals. They sat next to Velkari officers who were trying to understand how chaos could be more effective than order. Ashanti scholars worked beside Gorthani philosophers, all trying to comprehend the human way of thinking. Captain J. Ho, the same officer, who had supervised humanity's withdrawal from the galaxy years earlier, now commanded the Academy's training fleet. His job was to teach alien pilots how to fly ships that made no sense and fight battles with no logical strategy. "The key," he explained to a confused Velkari pilot, "is to stop trying to fly the ship the right way. Instead, try to fly it the wrong way, but do it on purpose." The galaxy that emerged from the chaos was different from what had come before. Trade routes were less efficient, but more interesting. Diplomatic meetings took longer, but produced more creative solutions. Wars were rare because no one could predict what anyone else was going to do.